50 Cent has now explained why Diddy never appeared inside the Epstein records. When you start linking the details together, the secret footage and witness accounts suddenly become clearer to understand. His upcoming documentary is coming soon, and this time he plans to call out several powerful figures across Hollywood. So who actually controlled Epstein's private island, and what really took place there? In this video, we examine every name, every connection, and the reason Diddy stayed absent from the fully unsealed files for viewers today.
One person who wasn't in the Epstein files was Diddy. And this person said the reason why Diddy wasn't in these files was because he was his competition. So I was like, man,
he was whose competition?
Epstein.
Oh,
Diddy was Epstein's competition.
No way.
Diddy wasn't at none of the Epstein parties or at the island.
Just 1 week earlier, the Department of Justice published over 3 million pages of documents, nearly 2,000 videos, and roughly 180,000 images from multiple investigations linked to Epstein. Most of these documents have been strongly redacted, but the unsealed versions revealed Epstein connected to some of the most powerful individuals on Earth. One name many people expected, yet noticed missing, was Sean Diddy Combs. Arrested nearly a year earlier and almost as notorious as Epstein, Diddy was accused as an abuser in more than 100 separate lawsuits involving crimes just as disturbing as Epstein's. So how could two of the worst predators in the world remain unconnected? And how strange it appears. You should remember Diddy's close friend Jay-Z appears dozens of times inside the Epstein documents. According to one record, Epstein allegedly used Jay-Z to influence the streets through entertainment. The CEO of Barclays tells Epstein the reason no uprising happens against elites is because the public is distracted by bred-in circuses like hip-hop culture. He concludes the group expected in the streets has been effectively purchased through Jay-Z. This is only one occasion Jay-Z was mentioned. It's also shocking that people around Diddy were frequently socializing with Epstein while Diddy, described as the architect behind the worst abuse the industry witnessed, simply never appeared. According to several online sources, this may be because Diddy's name remains redacted. Some documents mention Jay-Z and Epstein meeting a third censored individual in the room. The identical redaction across many files suggests it is the same person, and once you connect the clues, the narrative starts making sense.
Now, this is a tip back in 2009 that was sent to the FBI that references Jay-Z, Harvey Weinstein, and Pusha T. It says, on July 10th of 2019 at 8:20 a.m. Eastern Time, someone called the FBI National Threat Operations Center to identify herself as a victim of abuse by Jeffrey Epstein and others. This person said in approximately 1994, she revealed herself as a past victim of abuse by Epstein. She described the abuse that occurred during parties, and she also described someone as a friend of someone. In approximately 1996, she revealed that she resided with someone somewhere. An unknown man abducted someone from her home when she later awoke in the presence of Harvey Weinstein and Sean Carter, known as Jay-Z. This person claimed that Harvey Weinstein inserted his fingers into... She believed that she was in Epstein's mansion in Florida. This person estimated that she was abducted on 7 occasions, awaking each time in an indoor setting. She said that she suffered abuse on multiple of those occasions in which Epstein participated. She claims that she recalled Leon Black and William Barr, the current United States Attorney General, being present during some of the occasions of the
50 Cent reacted to Jay-Z's name appearing in the records and stated he planned to release a documentary about it. If you look back only a few weeks earlier, 50 Cent revealed he was producing part 2 of his Diddy documentary, which would uncover additional names. 300 hours of unseen footage that reportedly implicated other figures. It seems likely 50 will release a film explaining exactly how Jay-Z and Diddy were linked to Epstein. It wasn't coincidence that Diddy and Epstein moved within the same circles, meeting the same individuals, yet somehow they never actually interacted, according to insiders watching the situation unfold behind closed doors.
You know 50 Cent was somewhere stretching his fingers like, another post. 50 probably woke up, saw the headlines and said, God is good. 50 Cent jumped on Instagram and posted the article on his page and wrote the caption, I know I'm late on this, but this is kinda crazy. What do you do to get thrown into that mix? And he posted a picture of Jay-Z and wrote the caption, "Damn, they got my man Jay in the Epstein files. I gotta do a doc on this." Bro, don't tell me you about to do a Jay-Z documentary that's gonna be even more spicier than the Diddy one you dropped. Now, we all know that 50 lives for moments like this. This is like Christmas, Thanksgiving, and tax season combined in one. 50 don't even need facts. He needs content.
Diddy and Epstein's history is far more alike than many people realize. Both of them may even have operated as assets for foreign power. There's a strong possibility they were cooperating. And the only reason Epstein never recorded his name was because he would not expose another asset. Suge Knight once spoke about Diddy working alongside the federal government. That was one explanation for the large number of cameras inside Diddy's mansion. One social media post about the camera situation at Diddy's home summarized everything clearly, dropping in to think about the hashtag Diddy controversy. What stands out most about the accusations that surfaced is how obvious it appears Diddy functioned as a U.S. intelligence asset, focused on gathering compromise against influential figures. Similar to Jeffrey Epstein and Playboy founder Hugh Hefner, he reportedly placed cameras inside the residences where he hosted extravagant Hollywood gatherings. Now consider who else had hidden cameras scattered across his island. Epstein. Material released in the Epstein documents revealed concealed cameras installed throughout Epstein's house and office, devices he used to record both himself and other individuals. Several victims of Epstein even testified they were filmed, yet just like Diddy's recordings, none of the footage was ever publicly released. The alleged Diddy tapes and the Epstein video archives have repeatedly been denied by authorities, even though numerous accomplices and victims claim they exist. Reportedly, this material was intended for blackmail purposes.
Jeffrey Epstein's victims have long said they believe they were being filmed by the sex offender. And this footage from a spy cam style camera inside Epstein's Palm Beach house appears to show just that. The footage has been obtained for the first time by Channel 4 News. Because the quality is so grainy, during our investigation we analysed it frame by frame, and we've slowed it down here so that you can see what's happening. A man, likely Epstein himself, at one point looks towards the hidden device. Images of what seems to be his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, as well as what appears to be several women or girls. So how do we know what this is and where it comes from? Epstein's Palm Beach property was raided by law enforcement in 2005, where police filmed this footage. Pause it here. You can see his office in the corner of the ground floor living area. This is the exact same office captured in the spy cam footage.
It isn't difficult to imagine Epstein and Diddy cooperating to operate a blackmail operation, and their discussions would likely involve the individuals they targeted. Similar to Diddy, rumors had surrounded Epstein for years as well. Nicki Minaj recently posted online about Epstein's ties to the entertainment world and even criticized Jay-Z, writing, "Are people realizing these elites have been sacrificing children as a way of gaining and keeping power? If you vote Democrat again, you're just as empty as they are and will fall. Maybe it's time I start telling stories since I tried staying quiet about what I know." Still, they continue attempts at intimidation. She also said she would not release an album until her deal is renegotiated and until she explains the sabotage she claims she discovered involving Billboard. In another message, she described events happening in Hollywood privately, and it sounded disturbing.
Here's what Nicki Minaj had to say. She wrote, "Your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate and them as a form of blood sacrifice to their god. You see, when your master is Satan, you must constantly shed blood. However, the jig is up." And yeah, she's not the first person in Hollywood to say that. I just don't know how much could be in our face anymore before we wake up and realize these people are ruling over us and they win when we're fighting with each other. That's just the reality. I really don't see how you can have a ton of success in Hollywood and not be in the club, because Hollywood was founded upon this. I just don't really care what you call me. It's time for everyone to wake up.
The most disturbing part is people have believed for years that Jay-Z was connected, yet nothing ever happened. Kanye mentioned both Jay-Z and Pusha T long before any records were released and suggested their involvement.
Jay-Z and Pusha T, they made their living our people, so how the they gonna stand up for our people? You know what I'm saying? But we forget that because we love Jay-Z's music so much. We love Pusha's music so much, right? But you think they would ever, oh, Beyonce had the best for somebody else? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You think they would ever tell the truth? No, if they told the truth about anything, they'd go to jail. You know what I'm saying? So you have liars. Man. Liars are now the face.
Jay-Z may only be the beginning when discussing the individuals listed in the Epstein records. Because once you begin reviewing the other names, you understand how many billionaires and officials were allegedly connected to this. It also wasn't restricted to the United States. The royal family appeared far more involved than many expected. Prince Andrew of the royal family was mentioned in the newest disclosure. Images said to show Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor positioned over a woman lying on the floor were also included in the recent Epstein document release.
Let's bring in writer and broadcaster Esther Krakow joining us from the UK. Esther, this is a shocker. He is a disgrace. What more can the royal family do? They obviously want him to hide from public sight forever.
Yeah, I think the latest basically series of the Jeffrey Epstein files is kind of what pushed the king over the edge. And I'm sure he's kind of slowly losing his mind because they wish the scandal would go away. But obviously the complete lack of judgment by the Yorkses, so Sarah Ferguson and the prince formerly known as Andrew, has just kind of made this much worse. I mean, I would say this latest entrancement has shown actually the greed of Sarah Ferguson. But on Prince Andrew, there was a picture that is now circulating of him on all fours hovering over a woman that we don't know, that is not moving. And obviously this doesn't necessarily suggest any wrongdoing, but it just shows the kind of the degree of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And I think the real scandal that people just can't get over is the fact that he actually repeatedly denied having any sort of contact with Jeffrey Epstein after his conviction for pedophilia and and that's clearly proven to be false. Even Sarah Ferguson, in an email exchange a couple of years, I believe, after he was convicted, said that she wanted to be his pet. So clearly this is not someone who had disavowed this man until they actually had a public falling out, I think in 2011, where they severed the ties completely.
See, some of these Sarah Ferguson emails are pretty disturbing too. It seems that she's aware at least of the role of girls and beautiful women in all of this. She seems to be encouraging and even offering up people.
Before continuing to the remaining names, it's necessary to examine how serious the allegations being described are and the offenses these individuals could be tied to. After reviewing the documents, some readers claimed they found accusations that Epstein was taking infants from women. A 2002 journal entry written by an Epstein accuser states she delivered a baby girl at age 16 or 17. The woman alleged Epstein used her to produce babies and forced repeated pregnancies, with some children taken and others terminated. Jeffrey Epstein reportedly had a hidden child removed from its teenage mother immediately after birth.
Jeffrey Epstein had a secret child who was taken from its teenage mother at birth. This according to newly unearthed documents from the investigation into Epstein's crimes. Buried in the latest batch of the Epstein files are claims that Epstein fathered multiple children, including one by a teenager. In an anonymous diary entry, a woman describes how at 16 or 17 years old, she gave birth to a baby who was taken away from her just moments after delivery. Included is a copy of a pregnancy scan dated to 20 weeks gestation. She alleges Ghislaine Maxwell supervised the birth and writes that Epstein told her he wanted to create a superior gene pool. The diary was shared by the woman's lawyers, with federal prosecutors investigating Epstein and Maxwell. The Times was able to confirm the woman's real name, but has chosen to protect her identity. I was not able to verify the woman's claims, and if true, what happened to the newborn. It's never been publicly confirmed that Epstein fathered any children, and there's no mention of any offspring in a will he drew up in the years before his 2019 death in a New York prison cell. But several names in the will have been redacted.
This also was not the first occasion such an accusation had appeared. As we examine portions of Epstein's earlier interviews, you can see he was effectively admitting to the behavior himself. He even tried to justify it by claiming it was acceptable because he compensated the mothers. Information about what Epstein allegedly did with the infants after removing them has not been fully revealed in the documents. But if his other offenses suggest anything about how disturbing Epstein could be, it's difficult to imagine what may have happened. One confirmed fact is Epstein faced trafficking charges, and shortly before his death, he intended to reveal others connected to him.
Be some of those videos in these latest releases, and we can play a couple of minutes of that now, in which Epstein discusses being a sex offender.
Is your money dirty money?
If you live,
I just asked a question. Is your money dirty money?
No, it's not. So, in fact,
why is it not dirty money?
Because I earned it, a heart.
But you earned it. We went back to this before. You earned it. You earned it, advising the worst people in the world, right? That do enormous bad things, and just to make more money.
So, instead of asking me the question, should you take the money? Because I think it's a legitimate question.
You think it's a legitimate question?
Yes, no question. Because I think ethics is always a complicated subject, but I can tell you that with the money I gave to help try to eradicate polio in Pakistan and India, instead of asking me whether that money should be given to these children for vaccines, I think you might want to ask their mothers who received the vaccine, who know their child now won't get polio, and ask them if Epstein should have helped these people.
So now that we understand how disturbing Epstein and individuals linked to him allegedly were, let's move to another figure drawing attention, Bill Gates. Two messages dated August 18th, 2013 appeared in the Epstein disclosures. One message was written as a resignation note from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and complained about obtaining medication for Gates following encounters with Russian women. Additional background details were also released. According to online claims, Bill allegedly relied on Epstein to arrange meetings with women. This reportedly became a major factor in his marriage ending. During an NPR interview, his former wife Melinda said the document releases reminded her of their relationship difficulties.
Bill Gates responded. Go ahead, Rob.
He knew a lot of very rich people, and he was saying he could get them to give money to global health. You know, in retrospect, that was a dead end, and I was foolish to spend time with him. I was one of many people who regret ever knowing him.
You've no doubt seen the allegations, including some of them from the last 24 to 48 hours. Are they true?
No, apparently Jeffrey wrote an email to himself.
Draft.
That email was never sent. The email is, false. So I don't know what his thinking was there. It just reminds me, every minute I spent with him, I regret and I, apologize that I did that.
The problem is some of the things that he has sent, some of the information about other people that has come up in those files has been true. Why would he do this and say this about you, do you think?
It's factually true that I was only at dinners. I never went to the island. I never met any women. And so, the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior.
Sadly, certain high-level officials inside the U.S. government were reportedly connected as well. Hard to believe, but some individuals even brought their children to meet Epstein. U.S. Commerce Department Secretary Howard Lutnick allegedly took his family to Jeffrey Epstein's private island in 2012, based on emails contained in the recent document release, contradicting earlier statements claiming he ended contact years before. In one message from December 2012, Lutnick's wife Allison wrote to Epstein's assistant before the trip saying they looked forward to visiting and hoped to share lunch together. During congressional testimony in February 2026, Lutnick publicly acknowledged the visit for the first time, explaining he stayed roughly an hour on the island with his wife for children and their nannies. He had previously claimed contact stopped in 2005. Elon Musk, former head of the Department of Government Efficiency and among the world's richest individuals, also appeared in correspondence, seemingly asking Epstein for an invitation.
And a top Justice Department official says the review of the Jeffrey Epstein files is over. The same official indicated there would be no new charges. Now the Trump administration is facing backlash from Epstein survivors and Democrats. This was California Congressman Ro Khanna yesterday.
there is a demand for elite accountability. But the survivors' lawyers that I've talked to have said that the survivors are still upset. They're upset that many of their names accidentally came out without redactions, and they want to make sure the rest of the files come out.
CBS News Justice correspondent Scott MacFarlane joins us from our Washington bureau with more on this. Scott, you've been sifting through as much of this as you can. What's in this so-called final batch?
It's a process. We're still working through millions of pages here, Errol. And it's worth noting these were released more than 40 days after the legal deadline for the Department of Justice to do so. No one besides Epstein and former associate Ghislaine Maxwell has been charged, but the Department of Justice insisting its work is done has only fueled more controversy.
As additional records appear and more reactions emerge, the discussion is moving from pure shock toward responsibility. And that is where it becomes compelling, because being mentioned is one matter, being linked is another. But recognizing the system that allowed everything to occur is the true story. If you want news about 50 Cent's documentary, explanations of recent document disclosures, and a closer view of how these relationships connect, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications. Share your opinions below. Coincidence, shared circles, or something much larger?